Rhonda Ross was 13 years old when someone told her the truth about who her father was. 13 years of calling Robert Silberstein Dad. 13 years of believing the man who raised her was her biological father. 13 years of living inside a lie that everyone around her knew except her. And when the truth came out, it didn't come from her mother. It didn't come from Berry Gordy. It came from someone outside the family who thought Rhonda already knew. The moment Rhonda learned that Berry Gordy was her biological father, her entire childhood reorganized itself in her mind. Every family gathering where Berry was there but separate. Every time Diana acted strangely around Berry. Every time adults in the room exchanged looks Rhonda didn't understand. Suddenly, it all made sense, and nothing made sense at all. Some of y'all remember watching Diana Ross in the early 1970s, watching her marry Robert and have a baby girl just months later. Some of y'all whispered about the timing, about who that baby looked like, and some of y'all knew the truth from the beginning. But Rhonda didn't. Rhonda lived inside the secret without knowing the secret existed. Diana, Berry, and Robert made a decision in 1971. They would protect Diana's image by creating a story. But who were they protecting? Not Rhonda. They were protecting Diana, protecting the carefully constructed narrative of Diana Ross as a respectable solo artist. And the cost of that protection was paid by a child who deserved to know her own story. The secret wasn't even particularly well kept among adults. Motown insiders knew, entertainment industry people knew, journalists knew, but didn't print it because Diana was too powerful. Berry's other children knew. The secret was an open secret, invisible only to Rhonda herself. Robert Silberstein raised Rhonda as his daughter, loved her completely, never treated her differently. Robert was Rhonda's father in every way that mattered except biology. But Robert kept the secret too, participated in the lie, and when Rhonda found out the truth, she had to reckon with the fact that even the father she trusted had lied to her. Berry Gordy watched Rhonda grow up from a distance, saw her at family events, knew she was his daughter, and said nothing. Berry participated in Diana's image management by agreeing to stay silent, by prioritizing Diana's career over his relationship with his own child. Some of y'all understand what secrets do to families, how they poison relationships even when nobody's talking about them, how children sense the tension, the careful conversations. Rhonda grew up in that atmosphere, sensing something was off, living in a family where the most important truth about her identity was hidden from her for 13 years. The question isn't just why Diana lied. The question is why everyone around Diana participated in the lie. Diana made a choice in 1971. She chose image over truth. She chose to let Rhonda grow up inside a lie because admitting the truth would have complicated the narrative. But how did they maintain the lie for 13 years? What did Rhonda notice that nobody would explain? And how did the truth finally come out in the worst possible way? Maintaining the lie required constant vigilance, required all the adults around Rhonda to remember the story, to keep their words careful. Diana was traveling constantly, filming movies, recording albums, and Robert was the constant parent, the one picking Rhonda up from school, the one at parent-teacher conferences, the one putting her to bed at night. In every practical way, Robert was Rhonda's father. But Berry was always there too, at holidays, at birthdays, always present, but always slightly separate. Uncle Berry, Mommy's friend Berry, Mr. Gordy, never dad, never claiming her, but always watching. Diana managed the situation by compartmentalizing. When she was with Robert, Berry was work. When she was with Berry, Robert was past tense. Diana moved between these worlds and expected everyone to maintain the boundaries, expected Rhonda not to ask questions, expected Robert to play his role. Robert played his part perfectly, never slipped. Robert loved Rhonda enough to lie to her for 13 years, and that love was real, even though the lie damaged what it was meant to protect. Berry played his part too, watched his daughter grow up, pretended his interest was avuncular rather than paternal, pretended his daughter wasn't his daughter because Diana's image required the pretense. But Rhonda wasn't stupid. Children never are. She noticed that she looked different than Tracey and Chudney, noticed that Mr. Gordy paid special attention to her, noticed the way adults sometimes stopped talking when she entered rooms. And like children do, she filed away these observations without knowing what they meant. Diana justified the lie as protection, told herself she was sparing Rhonda from complicated truths. But the lie wasn't love. The lie was image management. Was Diana protecting her career by creating a conventional family narrative? Was Diana avoiding the scandal of having Berry Gordy's baby while married to someone else? By the time Rhonda was 13, she'd built her entire identity on the foundation of that lie. She was Rhonda Silberstein, Robert's daughter. And then someone outside the family assumed she already knew the truth and said something that shattered everything. What did that moment feel like? Who told her? And what happened to Rhonda's relationship with all three parents when the lie finally broke open? The truth came out in 1984 when Rhonda was 13 years old. And it didn't come from Diana's carefully planned revelation. It came casually, almost accidentally, from someone who assumed Rhonda already knew. And in one sentence, everything Rhonda thought she knew about herself became a lie. Imagine being 13. Imagine your identity is built on knowing who your parents are, and then someone says the entire foundation was fiction, that your father isn't your father, that your mother has been lying to you your entire life. Some of y'all have experienced betrayal. But there's something uniquely devastating about finding out you'd been lied to about your own identity. Rhonda confronted Diana, asked if it was true, and Diana, forced into honesty she'd spent 13 years avoiding, confirmed it. Yes, Berry Gordy was Rhonda's biological father. Diana's reasons, protecting her image, avoiding scandal, didn't matter to a 13-year-old girl whose world had just collapsed. Rhonda had to reorganize her entire childhood. Every family gathering where Berry was there suddenly meant something different. Every time Diana acted strangely around Berry suddenly made sense. Every photograph where Rhonda's face looked nothing like Robert's suddenly explained itself. The truth had always been visible. Everyone just conspired to make sure Rhonda couldn't see it. Robert remained dad in the ways that mattered. He was the man who'd raised her. But even Robert's love was tainted now by the lie, because Robert had participated in keeping the truth from Rhonda, and Rhonda had to reconcile the father she loved with the father who'd lied to her for 13 years. Berry suddenly had to become dad in a different way, had to claim the daughter he'd watched from a distance, had to build a relationship without the foundation of childhood memories, had to explain why he'd stayed silent. Diana expected forgiveness, expected Rhonda to understand that the lie had been for her own good. But Rhonda wasn't ready to accept that her right to know her own identity had been less important than her mother's public image. The revelation changed everything. Berry had other children from other relationships. Suddenly, Rhonda had siblings she'd never known. A Berry Gordy family that she'd been excluded from. People who'd known about her while she didn't know about them. An entire family tree that she was part of but had been kept from. Rhonda had to build her sense of self from scratch, had to figure out who she was when the foundational truth of her identity had been fiction. What does it do to a person to grow up inside a lie that big? And what does Diana's choice reveal about how she valued image versus family? Rhonda Ross Kendrick is in her 50s now, has built a successful life, has made peace with a complicated family history. But the cost of that lie reveals something crucial about how fame works. Diana chose her career over her daughter's right to truth. That's the simple fact at the center of this story. Diana could have told Rhonda from the beginning, but she didn't. In 1971, Diana was launching her solo career, leaving the Supremes, becoming Diana Ross, singular superstar. And that story worked better with a conventional family life. The truth that Diana was having Berry Gordy's baby while marrying someone else was too messy, too scandalous. So Diana chose the lie and expected everyone around her to participate. Expected Robert to raise Berry's child without telling her the truth. Expected Berry to watch his daughter grow up from a distance. Expected the entire Motown family to keep the secret. And everyone did. Some of y'all understand that dynamic, have watched people choose image over honesty. Diana's choice wasn't unique, it was just bigger. But Diana wasn't the only one responsible. Berry participated by staying silent, by agreeing that Diana's image was more important than his relationship with Rhonda. And Robert participated by lying every day. Love that requires lying is complicated love. The lie damaged all of Rhonda's relationships, made it hard for her to trust Diana, made it complicated to love Berry, made it painful to understand Robert. That damage was the price Diana was willing to pay to protect her image. Rhonda has spoken about this publicly, and Rhonda's willingness to speak honestly stands in stark contrast to Diana's silence. Diana has never publicly acknowledged the harm the lie caused, has never admitted that protecting her image was worth more to her than Rhonda's right to truth. Diana is 80 now, has built one of the most successful careers in history. But part of that success was built on a lie that destroyed her daughter's trust. That's Diana's legacy too, not just the music and the glamour, but also the choice to put career above child. Some of y'all know women like this, have seen how ambition requires sacrifices that get paid by the people you love. Rhonda paid for Diana's success with 13 years of living inside a lie. Today, Rhonda has her own career, her own family. Her life is built on truth rather than fiction. And Rhonda's survival of this betrayal is its own kind of triumph. Not the triumph Diana wanted, the perfect daughter who never questions, but the triumph of someone who found herself despite being lied to about who she was. If you grew up with family secrets, if you had to build yourself from scratch after learning you were lied to, share your story below.